Hey everybody, it's PZ at SpinNerd.com, and today I'm going to try something just slightly different. I'm going to do an unboxing. So I just received this package from Venom Defense and Design, and what I have here is a TRiFDGT 8-piece set. So I'm going to be opening this up, taking a look at all the pieces today, and just giving you my first impressions of them. Also at the end, there's a little bonus unboxing if you are interested. I received this package from a German dentist called Nils today, and I'm going to tell you what that is at the very, very end. Alright, but first, let's get on the main show. I've got a knife, and I've got this package from Sam Passenger. So, it's going to take me a while just to open all this stuff up, so as I do so, I'm going to tell you some stories. So, many of you know Venom Defense and Design already. They make this popular spinner called the iFidget, and about a month ago they had this great idea, and they were like, oh boy, the iFidget is this bar spinner. What else could we possibly do to innovate in this space? And they said, oh boy, we'll add an extra arm. So they came out with the TRiFDGT. You see how, clever play on words there, Sam. You went from iFidget to TRiFDGT. And so he put them up, and it was literally minutes before, all of them kind of sold out. I think that's generally the case with a lot of these higher end makers. We find them just selling out right away. They can only make so much, and so unfortunately that's just how it is. If you don't catch them right when they get released, you pretty much have to go on the secondary market and pay a markup, on eBay or wherever else. They tend to be quite a bit more expensive. So I'm just unrolling this out, and it's kind of cool. So as I unroll this, I am getting more and more spinners. So let me just cut these out to the front here. So I can see that there are already a few different colors. So, one thing as I'm opening this, I work in a very different field than fidget spinners, and so I always wonder, why doesn't someone like Sam or whoever else just make more of these spinners? Why don't they work more, hire more people, that kind of thing? Oh, this is the stand on which it goes. So I'm going to unwrap all of these first as I tell my story. And so it reminds me of this parable of the Mexican fisherman and the investment banker. And so on a weekend, some investment banker is vacationing away in Mexico, and he basically sees a Mexican fisherman who sells 30 fish a day and seems incredibly content. And goes and asks him, wow, why don't you try and fish more than 30 fish a day? Why don't you try and fish more? Then you can make more money. You can, wouldn't that be fantastic? And the Mexican fisherman replies, yes, but señores, you see, right now, I get to take a siesta in the middle of the day. At night, I get to go home to my wife and drink wine with them. I get to spend time with my kids. I get to live in this great little Mexican fishing village, and I get to play guitar with my friends at night. And it is a great life. It is a fantastic life. To which the iBanker replies, yeah, but you know what? Like, this is what we need to do to you. We need to increase your volumes. We need to. I'm just gonna get a feel of the spin of some of these, and then we're gonna talk about them. But what you need to do is you need to get a few more fishing boats, and you need to hire more people, and then you need to take the profits from your first ship and buy 8 more ships, and then you'll be captain of a whole fleet, and each of them will fish. And then out of that, we'll eventually take you to an IPO or whatever else, and then you'll make millions and millions, and it'll be fantastic. And the fisherman says, yes, but how long will that take? And the investment banker says, oh, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15, 20 years. And the Mexican fisherman says, well, what will I do at the end of that? And the banker looks at him and says, well, you know what? You'll get to retire in a Mexican village. And maybe then, when you retire, you'll get to spend time with your wife and your kids, and you'll get to play guitar with your friends, and take siestas whenever you want. So anyway, that's the parable. So, you know, I don't know if that's what Sam is doing, because I actually get the impression that Sam Passenger is working really hard. But you know, a lot of these makers, they haven't ramped up to meet the current demand, and until they do so, you know, you're always going to have these supply shortages. All right, so I've gotten a feel of some of these, and I'm going to talk about them in turn. Let me put them on their kind of cute little stands here. So, we will start with brass and copper. Brass and copper are not my favorite materials. Both of them will leave a little bit of a metallic smell on your hands, but I really like the weight of them. So brass, copper, and stainless steel are roughly the same weights, and it's a very nice weight. This spin, by the way, actually feels fantastic. There's a reason why Venom DD has achieved the kind of cult status that it has. It's because they make an excellent product. You know, their roots came from making parts for firearms, and they really make. I mean, this has been machined excellently. It's tremendously smooth. As you move it around the axes, there's no wobble whatsoever. It's really nice. So if you're looking for a slightly, you know, heavier spinner than a titanium or an aluminum, this is the way to go. Brass or copper. All right, put those back. Let me just confirm. Now, as for these guys on the front, I put them there because they're really light, and one is aluminum and one is titanium, and these tend to be your lighter materials. So aluminum is maybe about 1/4 to 1/3 the weight of a brass and copper, and titanium is, again, it's about half the weight of that as well. So if you're looking for something just to merely fidget with, this works out really well. Again, very smooth. It's just lighter to flick. Alright, then we move on to our stainless steel. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that as you look closer, one thing Venom DD is known for is they leave these little slots, and a lot of people like these slots to put in tritium. Tritium is a glowing radioactive material. Granted, it's not going to hurt you in any way, but it glows at night. And I think a lot of people like them to kind of dress up their spinners. Some people like to mess with the buttons, which is what I like to do, and some people like to you know, anodize their titanium, and some people like to put tritium on their spinners. And so some of the makers, including Venom DD, have decided to leave these little trit slots. And so these tritium slots, you've got 3 on this side, you've got 3 on this side, so you're going to need to buy 6 of these to put in. Alright, now a little bit fancier. This is titanium again, but it's been flamed. What that means is you basically take a blowtorch and you heat up titanium, and depending on how much you heat it up to, it changes color to, you know, different colors. And so you know, if you know the right temperature, you can get exactly the kind of color that you want. And so this is a very cool color. Before I get to the last piece that he's had here, I'm just going to open this up and we're going to take a quick look at the bearings. Alright. So, what does he have here? I actually had no idea what bearings he had, but there we go. It is an R188. It looks like it's a closed bearing, so you know we can't see what's inside it. Now, I'm not sure if it's a stainless steel or a hybrid ceramic bearing, but I'll find that out and I'll update that later in this video. But it's very smooth. I actually lately have been enjoying the closed bearings a little bit more, and the reason for that is they're a tiny little bit quieter, in my opinion, and the only downside is that the spin time tends to be reduced a little bit. But you know, I'm not really a spin time person. You can see even by the way that I'm playing with this, every few seconds I find my fingers going to these spinners and touching them. So I don't need this thing to spin for 10 minutes. That said, you know, it's kind of cool if it does, I suppose. All right. So the last thing, the most expensive piece of this collection. So I guess I've neglected to mention the price. This collection costs retail $800. I believe it's meant to include $900 worth of spinners. And what I have here is the most expensive component of that. And this is a tungsten spinner. And so you can't quite tell weight in these videos, but I guess why not? Let's just drop it. You can just kind of hear it. Let me drop let me drop another one. I'm gonna drop the aluminum. Very different sound, right? Drop the tungsten. I mean, it's hefty. Tungsten is really, really heavy. It is one of the most dense metals out there that is used in the spinner space. It's about as heavy as gold. And not only that, it's incredibly hard to machine. Tungsten is a 9 or a 9.5 on the Mohs scale, which is a scale used to measure hardness. And so, for comparison, the hardest material is diamond, and that's a 10 out of 10 on that scale. So tungsten being, you know, a 9 or a 9.5 means that it essentially destroys your tools. One of the reasons that I've really kind of appreciated Sam is that I've been on his Facebook group lately, and he's one of the makers that is incredibly willing to answer people's questions. And there's this thread on his Facebook group that you know, if you're interested, you should find out. And he talks about you know, what it's like to actually machine one of these parts. And you know, for example, he says like aluminum. Oh, by the way, actually, while I'm talking, I'm just going to set this thing spinning, and just get a rough idea for Alright, I didn't pull it very hard, but we'll get a rough idea for how long the tungsten spins. And I started this about 10 seconds later, but for how long the aluminum spins. Anyway, so Sam was essentially telling people about machining these parts and like what it takes. And so what I learned out of that was that every material is done, you know, by him on a CNC machine. So a CNC machine is this computer controlled mill that, you know, the computer tells it where to go, and it grinds a little bit here, moves, and grinds a little bit here, kind of like one of those arms, you know, like the candy stores or the toy stores where you try to pick up something. Except this thing is actually grinding down the material. But you have to use different fixtures for different materials, and you have to use different tools sometimes for different materials too. And because, for example, aluminum is much easier to machine than tungsten, you need to keep the parts at different places. Now you can see that actually the aluminum, we're at roughly a minute, and the aluminum already stopped. And that tungsten is going, and it's gonna keep going for a while. So you know, imagine that you're tooling a tungsten part. It's really just gonna, you know, it's gonna wear out your tools a lot faster, and because it's so hard, you're not going to be able to machine it very quickly. So the tool has to move slower. So you have to program the computer to actually move that part slower. So yeah, I feel like I didn't know anything about this stuff. You know, I'm a numbers guy, so I couldn't machine anything to save my life. So it's really cool to learn some of this stuff from Sam. Alright, so I don't know if we should have started that spin test, but it's going now, so we're gonna let it go. I guess to pass the time, let's weigh some of these. Alright, so I have a little scale here. I think, sadly, you probably can't read it from that angle, so I'm just going to read out what they are. So, this is brass. We're at 2.86 ounces. Let's change that to metric. So, you know, I live in the U.S., but why are we on the Why are we on that system? Why do we use ounces? All right, so 80 grams for the brass, 76 for the copper. Let's look at the titaniums. 44 and 44. So these are both titanium. Stainless steel, you're at 67. And aluminum, you're at 38. And I think that it would be even lighter if it was an aluminum button, but I think that this is a brass button. Alright, so we'll at least know some of the weights. Alright, it looks like the tungsten is slowing down. And I'll show you this in a bit more detail in just a sec, but the button that is included with the tungsten is fancy. And it looks like it's a blue tongue Damasteel button. Oh, okay, it looks like it's slowing down. We're right at 3 minutes 45 seconds. So I probably could have pulled that a little bit harder. I really didn't pull it very hard. I imagine if I had, probably be at 5 or 6 minutes. So you know, let me stop this. And I probably did a disfavor there, because I feel like this thing should have gone for longer if I had actually gotten a proper spin on it. But I have this very makeshift table, so I just didn't want to destroy everything. Let's see how heavy that tungsten is. The tungsten is 137 grams. 137 grams. So, you know, basically double that of anything else, and 3 to 4 times that of aluminum. So it's just incredibly heavy. Alright, back to the buttons itself. Let's see if that will focus on there. You can see that it's Damasteel, and it's a design called Blue Tongue Damasteel, which is really, I mean, it's a really cool design. If you look, you know, what makes this thing so special? The first time I saw this, I was like, okay, so what? So some kid just you know, put a little print on top of the button. But that's actually not the case. The way they make this Blue Tongue Damasteel is that, let me show you the edges there, is that they wrap up 2 different kinds of steel. And so this pattern is made by, you know, this wrapped up steel, and it goes the whole way through the steel rod. I mean, what a genius idea, right? They wrapped up 2 different kinds of steel, and they charge you like 20 times the cost of normal steel for it. But it's gorgeous. It's really pretty, and people love this Damasteel to dress up their buttons. So I think that this piece alone with the buttons is, you know, on the order of $350 to $400 retail on the secondary market, considerably more than that. But you know, it's a gorgeous little piece. It spins really well, and you know, it's pretty neat that we're given this little spin station here. Yeah. Okay. So that's it. That's all I have for the unboxing. I'm gonna start a spin one more time, and I'll update this later with the spin time. Until next time. Actually, oh wait, I have the other thing. All right. So if all you care